This is Selling Seven Figures with your host, Kevin Mullaney. Join him in a panel of 4 high-achieving distributors and start crushing your sales goals.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 3. Sorry, where am I? There we go. 3 of Selling Seven Figures, which is a monthly mini-series designed to help distributors, salespeople crush their goals. I'm your host, Kevin Mullaney, and this month it's go big or go home. We're talking really big. If you want to land key accounts, thinking big is the first step. So no matter what size company you work for, you too can land key accounts. So when you think about key accounts, it can be helpful to think about this similar 80-20 principle, which is 20% of your customers who can provide you with 80% of your profits. I think everyone on this esteemed panel would agree that landing the key accounts can be challenging and take a lot of hard work. So let's dive in and see what their secrets are. So there are some skills that are critical when you're trying to land some big monster accounts. And one of those skills is getting to know your customer. So if you wouldn't mind, we're going to spin it around the room, share your best advice and tactics for truly getting to know the customer that you're going after. We're going to start here with David. David, kick us off.
Well, number one, truly understand your client's business. You know, where they're going with the business, as well as what their pains are. Where did the previous distributor, where did they mess up? Where can't you mess up? And where do you have to better? That's where you're going to look like a rock star. But above all, like if I had to give one soundbite answering this question, I would say get comfortable with being uncomfortable. If you're going to go after those big enterprise type accounts, for a lot of people, it's scary and they don't go after them because they're intimidated. I don't think this group's intimidated, but you got to be comfortable with being uncomfortable and go get them. You have nothing to lose. You know, the old saying, it takes, as much work to write $1,000 order as a $500,000 order. Well, let's go get those $500,000 orders.
Yeah, completely agree. No doubt about it. Katie, tell us a little bit about your thoughts.
Sure. Adding on to what David already filled us in on would be to do some internet stalking. LinkedIn, I love to set up Google alerts on prospects and existing clients. It's nice if you can get a heads up on big things before they tell you about it. And then Instagram is one that they show so many of their events. So be a little bit proactive with that. Have some idea generation.
Yeah, I love that. I used to always think, getting to know the customer, the people that work in the office every day. I'd always say I could learn more by just walking around the office than by someone giving me a list of what they ordered the year before, just by understanding the culture from the inside out, what they're using to drink out of, what they're doing. Are they listening to headphones, collaborative environment, or if it's a bunch of cubicles, it's going to help you know your customer a little bit better. So that's super helpful. Mandy, tell us a little bit about how you get to know your customers.
Well, I mean, Katie just stole my internet stalking, but a lot of times I am internet stalking just to kind of find out a little bit more about them, to email out. But a lot of it is just people buy from people they know, like, and trust. And even if it's a big client, like, it's still a person. So just try to make that connection and see if you connect. I am not the right person for everyone. So, if I don't connect with them, maybe it's a better fit for David, Katie, or Nanette. And that's okay. Like, I have to be okay with the fact that, people are going to buy from who they like. So I just try to make that connection and see if that seems to be a good fit for me or not.
No, it's a good point. And I think that's also on your side of things, right? You want to do business with people that you like, right? You want to, make sure that you're partnering with the right people. And if you don't like selling inexpensive just giveaways that people are just going to grab, at a table, then maybe some of those clients aren't the right ones for you because it's really just about price and it's not about creativity or anything like that. So I think it goes both ways when kind of feeling folks out. Agreed. All right, next question that we're going to kick off to is how do you identify the key accounts you feel are the right fit for you and your business? What questions are you asking yourself and what type of research are you doing? Nanette, we'll start with you on this one.
Yeah, I think in terms of the types of clients, David mentioned it earlier, as far as it takes the same amount of energy to do $1,000 order as it does a significantly higher order. And so looking at, history in terms of where do those orders come from that are in our sweet spot, and seeing what similarities customers have to being able to land us in our sweet spot. And so when we're able to identify what those things are, then we're able to focus on those types of clients. And so for us, we like clients that spend at least $50,000 a year on promotional products. And so looking at, from a history perspective, what are those types of customers look like, and just go after that.
No, it's very well said. David?
Well, first off, I like to go after accounts that are worthwhile, so that they'll do a minimum $100,000, hopefully $500,000 of annual volume. You look at how many employees they have, how many offices, what they're doing for billings, do that stalking on LinkedIn, get as much information as possible about the company. And then I look at kind of personally, what type of companies bode well for me? What do I do well with? What verticals do I want to drill down on? And then the one, I'm holding back a little bit because I do have a little bit of secret sauce that I don't want to share. But one tidbit that I would like to share is, don't forget about the unsexy clients. Everyone goes after the Cokes of the world, okay? And an example of this is years ago when I got my professional start, I did a lot with the Boston Beer Company, Sam Adams, and Twisted Tea. Every distributor in the Boston market and farther out calls on these guys. So everything was, it was sent out and quoted out with 10 different companies or more. I wasn't doing logo slapping, but I was designing like proprietary product for these guys, and they would take my intellectual property and send it out to 10 different companies and get the best price. And you can't really call them on it because you'll win the battle, lose the war. But I walked away from that. I was doing about 600,000 with them at the time, and that was a really big account for me back then. And I walked away and focused on the unsexy companies that were willing to pay me for my expertise and hard work.
No, way to have the guts to walk away. I completely agree. It's really smart business, and long term, you're going to find people that are going to really value that intellect. So bravo to you for being able to do that. Katie?
Sure. I remember when I started in this business, I was so worried about what was going to be my specialty, what was vertical market, what I focus on. And my dad gave me some good advice. He said, whatever your first client is, that's what you become good at. So do something really well and then find how you can duplicate it, whether that's in the same vertical market or looking at what you in particular offer and do well and how you can be a good fit for those companies.
Well done. Mandy, finish this up.
I'm probably going to give away a little secret sauce, but I actually make friends with a lot of the bigger local distributor sales reps here, and I kind of know what types of customers they go after. And you know what I like to do? If they go after somebody with 500 employees, I'm going after someone with 499. I like to get them right before, So watch yourself.
Price is right vibe there. I like what you're
right under, because what happens to those customers? They grow. So, I'm just trying to play smart here and come in right under the radar. And that's been really successful for me. A lot of my clients have had growth. So I can see David coming back at me for this one, local guy, and come right in under him, sliding right in.
David, do you have a counter offer for that?
Well, not really, but Mandy and I kind of do focus on in the Boston market and compete against each other. And we're all friends here. I'm very aligned with Mandy and her thinking and Walker Clay. There's so much business to be had. If I know Mandy's at an account, I don't even go to that account. I protect my friends. I have friends there and Brand Fuel. I don't go after any of their accounts. Awesome. There's a lot of pieces of pie out there, everyone.
Yeah, and I think you all talked on a couple things. David called it the unsexy accounts. I think you want to try and identify the accounts that are going to be on those kind of Inc. 5000 fastest growing companies, but ideally before they make that list and they get hit by every single telemarketer. And it's really hard to distinguish yourself when it comes down to that. which will lead us into our next question. How are you getting your foot inside the door? Right. So I think in the world of promo sales, it's helpful. I always thought selling promo or pushing promo and creativity was a great way to get in the door. So if you have any of those stories or unique ways that you're getting on their radar, how are you doing in that? And if you guys have any stories to share along the way, Mandy, I'll start with you to give your first go at this.
Yeah, like at the beginning of the year when I look at like the customers I want to go after that are prospects, as a team, we try to come up with some creative type of prospecting kit, changes out all the time. So I do it in like bulks and not like individual client because, as Katie said earlier, it might have been last episode, that we only have so much time during the day. So if I've got these 10 new accounts that I've qualified, here's our prospecting kit, and I try to get, think outside the box. They're never a bunch of promo. They're usually weird. Like I think we've sent an elephant. We have an owl going out now, really just to get attention. Because that first phone call is literally like, hey, I'm the one that sent you an elephant. And they're like, why did you send me an elephant? And that's exactly what I want, because I want them to ask me, why did I send them that? Because I'm trying to open up that conversation. Also, I will say, just shout out to Plush. If you find out that that person has a child under the age of 5, Plush is key, guys. Plush is key, because they'll be like, oh, I gave that to my kid every day. That kid's walking around with my little plush, whether or not it's branded, they're walking around with that. So helps me remind them all the time. So I try to do something creative with that. And then regular customers, I think, do the internet stalking type thing and see like, what are they like? Like if I'm friends with them, do they have a dog? Did I see that, they're into certain colors? Like maybe I'll send them drinkware in their favorite color if I hear they're going on vacation or whatnot. So try to do that, like as long as their corporate policies allow for me to send things like that. Because as we know, we hit some of these big guys, there's some restrictions.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's a good point. Annette, how are you getting on your folks' radar? And if there's anything you need to land a meeting, let us know.
Well, one of the things that I mentioned earlier is in the previous episode is we love to eat. And one of the things that I do is I invite my clients out to lunch or prospects. And Ruth's Chris is one of the steakhouses that are here locally. And during the lunch, there's a very affordable lunch special. But, when you present Ruth's Chris, like, hey, I'd like to meet you for lunch. And I guess I get this from my pharmaceutical background, where rapport building was one of the keys to our success. And so getting an opportunity to get the prospect or the client outside of the typical environment, networking, doing a lot of the networking events and being able to meet them in the first place, and then having the opportunity to extend that invitation to take them outside of the office. And you'd be surprised once you get outside of the office that you're able to build a much better rapport. And with that rapport, people buy from who they know, like, and trust.
Yeah, I completely agree. And that I feel like, they've got, a warrior's mentality. If they've got the leverage on their own home turf, they've always got that desk as a wall or a barrier. But you take them outside of those walls and now you're on equal turf. You're just two people having lunch. So I love your strategy there. And you nailed it on the name brands. Who's turning that down? I'll buy it. Bruce Chris.
Well, one of the other things we have here is we have what I call a lemonade stand that's built upstairs, and it's a way that we're able to bring in people for networking sessions, to get to know people. People would look at it as a bar, and I don't consider it a bar. It's a lemonade stand. We serve freshly squeezed lemonade and, some that are a little bit for the adult persuasion. So, but again, rapport building is one of the keys for us.
You really do stay on brand at all times. And I'm not surprised that you've got an electric lemonade stand, if you know what I mean, if I were to ever come to town and needed to meet with you. Katie, Tell us a little bit about how you're getting on those folks' radar.
Just a couple of really simple additions. put your photo and your email signature. You're a human that they want to build rapport with, and pick up the phone. I think that is a really, really undervalued skill that we think of being a little bit old school that can make all the difference.
Beautiful. David?
I'm going to start with a PSA. Everyone knows you're trying to get the foot in the door. So a lot of distributors in our industry, like, oh, how about that stress ball? It's like a foot. Get it? Foot in the door, and they send it out to that's been done so many times. That is so contrived. Do not do it. Let's be creative and have an original idea here. So we're not going to do a foot in the door, okay? But the first time when that light bulb goes off in a distributor's mind, oh, the stress ball, foot in the door, get it? Oh, it's painful, absolutely painful. What I like to do is I don't do any. I'm probably the worst cold call person. I've never had a successful cold call in 17 years. I'm 0 for 1. I called on a company called Keneally Meats about 12 years ago. I thought it'd be kind of cool. Keneally Meats, David Keneally calling on you. Would that be great? No, then they never called me back. So I've never done a cold call again. 100% of my growth is organic growth or through LinkedIn. So if I see a target on LinkedIn that a company I'd like to work with, and I see that Annette is a mutual friend, I'll reach out to Annette, ask for a personal referral, and that's how I get into accounts. So that's how it's all relationships.
Yeah, I would say that's the biggest home run that you can hit is if you've got some type of mutual connection that's going to be able to vouch for you. It's really hard to get in front of these decision makers, especially if they've got long lasting relationships, and they're typically not seeking us out. It's a kind of a hidden industry that everyone's operating in. So it makes a ton of sense when you can kind of have your resume and your profile right there for them to view at their leisure with a warm introduction from a friend. It's a great way to do it. All right. So it's hilarious that we're talking about getting your foot in the door because that's our next question. And again, just be very, very honest if you don't want to share too much of the secret sauce, but you get them in the door. Katie, what does, kind of that first conversation, what does that first pitch look like when they do pick up the phone and they do decide to take that meeting?
Sure. I think really that initial meeting is we've talked about it already, but finding out their pain points and being really direct and strategic and personalized about how you can improve that process for them. I like to give social proof that we've been able to make those changes or improvements for clients in the past as well.
Beautiful. David?
I leverage my experience, and one of my points of difference in my personal branding is I have been a brand manager, product manager, director of marketing, and I can think like a client. I've been buying branded merch since 1989 when I graduated from college. Probably bought $1 million worth of boxer shorts in 89 and 90. So I leverage that. I let them know that you're not just getting someone that grew up in promo. You're getting someone that understands it from your side of the desk. And that's what I leverage. And that's one of my strengths.
Yeah, I think that's a great point you bring up is leveraging their side of the desk. What are they being held accountable for? Mandy? Oh, you're on mute. It's okay. First time.
Man, first time. I knew it was going to be me.
I just thought it wasn't me.
Yeah. I think everyone's pretty much covered it. I don't think I've done anything too much. These are pros, so I think we're all on the same page here.
Awesome. Anything to add on that, or are you good to go?
I think we're good.
Okay. Awesome. If anyone wants to add their most unique gift, and I'm going to give a shout out to someone that's not on here. His name is Brian Gill with Thumbprint. He sent out boxing gloves at the end of COVID. And they even had an interactive game that it was really cool. It was like just a little quick Rock'em Sock'em Robots type boxing game. And I just thought it was the coolest thing. And he goes, if you feel like you got knocked out because of this year, we're with you. We're ready to come back swinging next year. Something along the lines of that. I hope I didn't, just completely ruin his campaign. But anyone done something that, really, decided to go rogue and just say, hey, I'm going to throw myself out there. We're going to really embrace something unique, like Mandy's elephant story. And I'll let anyone just kind of pop in with who they want to go with, if anyone's willing to share a cool one.
Yeah, although David doesn't like the foot in the door because it's been done a million times, every single client has never received that campaign, even though I didn't do that campaign. I did Let's Connect, and gave a wall plug with a USB-C and a USB, and gave some reasons why, identifying some of the pain points and what the benefit would be to connect. And so sending those out, we only sent about 12 out to prospective clients, and of those we were able to get meetings with 6 of them. So I think a 50% response rate for something that didn't cost a whole heck of a lot was something that was effective for us. So it may not be David's style, but I love being able to give, creative ideas and creative lead-ins, and they've been effective.
By the way, I love that example. I think that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. It was different,
Absolutely. David, anything that you've done similar to that? I know that you've got some unique ways that you're, getting in the door.
No, I'm really leveraging the LinkedIn, the referrals. That's how I'm getting my meetings. I'm going in doing consultative selling. I'm not bringing in a bag of promo items, but I will. I just thought of this in a previous life when I was a principal in a traditional promotion agency, not a promo agency. We did a holiday mailer that I thought was really cool. That being from New England, we have lobster all the time, but the rest of the country, they don't really have a lot of lobsters. So we did a holiday mailer where we put the lobster in, and those little pony bears, I think they're like Bud Lights, the little 8 ounces or 6 ounces. We did a theme, and I can't claim this is my idea. It was the whole agency, but it was Santa Claus in his 8 tiny reindeers. And it was all themed, and we shipped these things all over the country overnight. So someone in San Diego would get Santa Claus and his 8 tiny reindeers, and it just went over so well. They were like, how do you cook a lobster? It was a lot of fun, and we got in the door a lot that way.
Live lobster?
Yeah.
Wow.
You're punishing the puns right there, David. I mean, that is remarkable. Oh,
yeah, it was a lot of fun. It worked everywhere except the guy that was on vacation and came back after 2 weeks, and that was on his desk.
Yep. I can imagine that.
It happened.
Yeah, it absolutely does.
You still got the account.
Mandy, anything other than the elephants?
I can have one thing. I mean, yeah, we did. The elephants did go over really well. Our response rate was super high. There was some creative that went along with it, but essentially we sent out an elephant. We told them there was a matching elephant at our office that we would donate to a local charity if they returned our phone call. So it kind of had that social give tie-in, and it was, the follow-up was easy because we're like, hey, you just got to call us back and I'm going to donate this. Like, don't make a kid drive in an ambulance without this cute little plush, come on. So we just try to have fun with some of those, but I would also say, like, if you're sending out like a kit to like a new prospect, please don't just put your logo on it. Don't put your logo all over it. Do something fun. Do a saying. You can have your logo on there, but like a lot of our self-promo stuff now is, our logo's small or it's just part of our logo. It's not the whole thing. So have some fun with the artwork on there, because people are going to go, if it's funny or if it's different, people are going to go show like, hey, look at what this person sent me. And I want them walking around the office showing like 5 other people, because I hope I got the right buyer the first time, but there's a chance that I didn't. So ideally, I'd like to have something that they're going to go share. So when you're dropping something off for the first time, make it memorable. Don't just throw a bunch of stuff in a box and send it out.
Yeah, that's great. Great advice there. we are getting up against time, so I'm just going to kind of go to really the last point. It really may take a number of different touch points, different media messages, phone calls, email, LinkedIn. But once you've landed a key account, what are you doing to maintain it, right? What are you keeping those wolves at bay so those lobsters that are getting shipped around the holidays aren't getting those accounts shifted to David's book of business? So, Mandy, what are you doing once you've landed that whale? How are you going to keep them in your side of the ocean?
I feel like I'm from New England, so I'm just going to quote a local person. I just do my job. Do your job. So I feel like it's just like follow up, stay in touch, send them good ideas, and just do your job. People don't like to change. So if they're happy with the service they're getting, they're probably not going to look for a reason to change. So don't give them a reason to change.
Yeah, spot on. Katie?
Pretty straightforward, but deliver good service, deliver on what you promised on. If something goes wrong, fix it. And also remind them what you're doing for them. So that's where those monthly check-ins from last episode come up.
Yeah, Katie, you're spot on. We're 3 episodes in, and it's just cleans the stink. And you're the exact opposite of me, who just keeps talking until figures out, everyone's done listening. So really great job there, Nanette.
One of the things that Warren Buffett said was create delightful experiences. And so that's what we try to do, is to delight our clients. And so by doing that, checking in on a frequent basis to make sure we're taking care of their pain points and they're satisfied. Again, we eat and we partake in lemonade, sometimes tasty adult. But anyway, just being able to maintain that rapport, staying in contact to make sure we're on point and as she said, doing our job.
Beautiful. David?
So service the heck out of that account. You have the first 90 days when that relationship's really gelling. So keep servicing that hard for those 90 days. And once those 90 days up, you don't let up. After that honeymoon period's over, I want them to still love me on day 100 and day 500. So it takes time, and you worked really hard. You made a bunch of promises, and now you have to over deliver. And to Ned's point, surprise and delight every once in a while. Is that spec samples? Is that a nice piece of apparel? Keep it coming.
This actually just kind of wrapped up in a beautiful format, because we're at episode 3 and we're talking about selling 7 figures. But I think the way that y'all just finished up, it's like marriage, right? I mean, there's going to be some ups. There's going to be some downs. There's going to be some highlights. There's going to be some lowlights. There's going to be, are we going to get through this? How am I going to recover from this? And then there's going to be some times when you think, this person's driving me absolutely nuts, And I think that you all, it's nice to talk to 4 overproducing folks, because one, you've never stopped being yourself. And we're only 3 episodes in, and I'm really excited to keep this going and this mini-series going, because you guys are offering really, really insights on how to be good leaders, how to be good humans, how to be good supportive people. But it's really just quite simple, right? Just keep showing up, keep giving it your best. And again, our best is good enough, right? So keep it up, guys. Y'all are doing an amazing job. And hopefully everyone out there that's listening, you're getting some good insight, because this is energizing me. So we appreciate you keeping up with selling 7 figures, which I believe I've stuttered on every single episode. So bless you all. Appreciate everyone. Keep up the good work. Selling 7